What's the most harmful thing about porn? The fact that it's really difficult to tell which people are doing things consensually, which people are tricked or manipulated into performing, reneging on payment, promising more than given, etc., and which people are straight up sex slaves or human trafficked and drugged in order to create the films. Because it's simply illegal in so many places, it's really difficult to figure out which people are being treated properly. When people think that's how sex actually is in real life, are you saying women don't immediately start salivating and masturbating when I randomly pull my penis out in public? I think you're lying, friend. What are you doing, step bro? I think I dropped my napkin under the table. Premature exposure to violent porn. I was on an R2X chromosomes and this post comes up asking how you can identify a woman who would be into anal rape fantasies in the wild. I.e. she wears red flips-flops and eats ice cream. She wears white pants and red nail polish, etc. All of us responded with engaging in proper conversation with them and asking about it when it's appropriate. He was really confused. He actually couldn't comprehend that you're supposed to build that kind of relationship up in that he should talk to her as an equal participant. Out of curiosity, I went and looked at this kid's post history. He was 13, and he posted that same question on over 7 different subreddits. In one subreddit, he admitted that he's been watching violent porn since he was 7. And now the only thing that gets him off is violent anal rape type porn. It was really heartbreaking because he was clearly asking for broader help on something that he was dealing with in private, and the only people who were really engaging with him were the incel-type subreddits telling him to just go for it. So yay, I guess that's fucked up. As a millennial on the older end, I'm glad I grew up in a semi-vanilla environment when the only way to see boobs was to peek at my uncle's mags. I'm very concerned for my nieces and nephews that have this type of content at their fingertips. Out of curiosity, did you talk to this young kid and spread some knowledge? Back in 1999, if you stumbled across porn where the woman was playing the trumpet with her coochie, you watched it all the way through. All 3 hours of loading time. Now, I can't even imagine a relationship where a woman can't play a brass instrument with her coochie. Dopamine addiction. Help. I'll give you a top 10. 10. The normalization, especially for boys, that everybody watches porn, and that you are supposed to. In most countries, it is illegal to watch porn if you're under 18, but there is a lot of peer pressure to do so. 9. Big misunderstanding of what sex is actually supposed to be like. At best, this can lead to unenjoyable sex. It can also lead to an emotional disconnection and an unhealthy outlook on sex. But at worst, it can lead to some seriously dangerous sexual practices which can cause physical, emotional, and psychological damage. 8. A lot of mainstream porn is degrading to women, and reduces them to sexual objects. 7. Porn addiction. It can give people the inability to get aroused unless they are watching specific porn. The addiction can get in the way of their relationships, family, career, and life in general. 6. Using consensually given naked photos, videos of people to blackmail them by threatening to post them online. 5. Voyeurism and filming, photographing people without their consent. 4. Exploiting and taking advantage of women who are destitute and poor and or addicted to drugs by getting them to do porn. 3. Bestiality. It is extremely abusive to use animals for sex. 2. Child porn. 1. Actual rapes and murders being filmed and distributed for profit. People seek out the videos when they know the videos exist. I would add desensitization to arousal as well. The 50-year-old dudes that masturbate to porn 9 times a week but only have sex with their wife 3 times a year and then complain about a dead bedroom are doing it to themselves. Take a porn sabbatical and stop choking your chicken all the time and see if you don't start Popping boners when your wife bends over to get the meatloaf out of the oven. Use that energy to romance your wife like you just met her. Sweep her off her feet. Kiss her like you're going to war tomorrow. Seduce her with every tool in your arsenal, and if it's not enough, learn new ones. It may not be enough, but you'll never know if you don't try, and keep trying until you break. If you do not give it your all, you'll regret it. The hyperinflation of sexual expectations in teenagers has increased. 13-year-olds are getting coerced for nudes. 17-year-olds have had those clownish over-the-top facial expressions in Pornhub banner ads are going to shape young minds. You're so right. Kids that young get coerced for nudes because we think that's what being mature is. Especially if it's for someone older. Fun fact is that in most countries the age of losing virginity is actually going up. Yeah, cause people watch porn and what's depicted looks horrifying, lol. What's sex like? Quote, well, according to this video, you stretch out your step-sibling's asshole then spit inside it. Yeah, no thanks. That gave me a nice loud chuckle while my GF has a serious conversation next to me. Whoops. To me, it's how actors and actresses are treated on and off set. Drug use is still being encouraged on set, which historically has been used to keep sex workers dependent on their bosses since the 1920s. And I've seen it being used to help workers cope with going through long working hours and constant exhaustion from all the shoots they had to make in order to pay their own bills. First off, that seems manipulative to me. Secondly, it also seems extra shitty to push your porn actors, and I assume the camera crew and editors, through crazy long work hours to the point that they'd actually start taking heroin and cocaine just to get through it all. Another sad and troubling thing about porn is the way porn actors get treated if they ever spoke out about the exploitation or abuse in the porn industry. When Stoya reported that she was being mistreated on set, not just by her ex, but also by other porn actors simply because the directors, CEOs didn't want to support or acknowledge her complaints, there were still quite a few people who doubted her because she continued to do porn after being mistreated, much like how people reacted to Linda Lovelace when she spoke about her negative experiences during the 70s. It's bizarre because that logic doesn't even fly in other industry. For instance, if I walk out of my retail job because my abusive ex is there and no one in HR's doing anything to stop it, and they repeatedly keep scheduling me to work alongside my ex, then I should be allowed to speak out and be taken seriously even if I choose to work for another retail store. It honestly makes me feel bad for other porn stars in the same situation, especially since we keep seeing this issue come up repeatedly for more than 40 years now. Some studios might be making steps right now to make work safer and more enjoyable for their actors. But it's disheartening to see that we still have a long way to go. Drug use on prostitutes is well before the 20s. Opium is ancient. Videos of women being abused without their consent, and aren't removed by porn sites because it's making them money. Edit. Fantastic. My most upvoted comment, and it's about porn. My mom's a child therapist. She has largely worked with sexually abused children. Before porn became easily accessible on the internet, if a child abused another child, it was almost always because they had been abused by someone else. Now she's seeing many victims of child perpetrators who saw porn then acted it out on the victim. Monsieur, porn warps your reality and worldviews. So ordinary people will always pale in comparison to the perfect goddesses that strut their stuff on your phone screen. Am I the only one who thinks normal people ages 20 to 40 are more generally attractive than the average person in free porn? I much prefer porn where I'm looking at normal people rather than models. Having never banged a model before, and never had a six-pack or a 9-inch wang, watching that in porn doesn't fire any mirror neurons. A bit of wobble, cellulite and public hair, however. Yeah, that's real, and that reminds me of real sex. There was a post on our Ask Women about this. A woman who found herself single in her 40s talked about the differences between sex with men from her own generation and younger men. Younger men wanted to immediately go into things that were previously considered kinky, with no prior discussion. Anal play, choking, dirty talk, and even bondage. Older men were much more vanilla at first and gradually communicated their desires to try more adventurous things. Many of the younger men were getting their sexual expectations from porn. The problem with porn is that they never show the amount of communication that's required for sex. Talk of consent, boundaries, expectations, safe words, etc. This gives younger, less experienced audiences the idea that communication isn't needed. Not necessarily the most harmful, but probably ideas on what positions would be comfortable, pleasurable, or satisfying for those involved. A lot of positions are really done not for the pleasure of those involved, but to provide better shots. No ejaculation, pun intended, for the camera. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.